Did you ever see the TV show Sliders? In that show, a group of 4 people would slide through a portal between dimensions, spending each episode in an alternate version of Earth. For example, they might enter a reality where the Nazis won World War II. Or in another reality, one of them might be a famous performer. Another TV show that can give you the right idea is Quantum Leap. In that show, a man spent each episode in someone else's body in an alternative time and place. Imagine you're a slider or a quantum leaper, and you just slid through a portal into your new desired reality, into that new you as well. You're already there living it. The whole reality already exists in some alternate dimension, and you're now experiencing it as real. Put yourself in the shoes of that new person. Witness through his or her eyes how he or she goes through a typical day. Imagine that you're in an episode of Sliders or Quantum Leap. What time do you get up in the morning? Who's sleeping next to you? Where are you? How do you feel? What do you eat for breakfast? What do you do in the morning, afternoon, and evening? You must imagine yourself as already being there. You want to reach the point where it feels natural and normal to be there. After all, this is your reality, isn't it? So of course it will feel normal in a way. You are already used to it. Initially, the sliders or leapers were freaked out when they entered the new reality. It took them a while to figure it out and understand it. Eventually they got used to it and were able to get things done within that reality. This is what will happen when you visualize a new reality for yourself. At first, it may seem like an alien environment. You'll have to play around with it for a while before you get used to it and it starts to seem normal to you. It's very important that you push beyond that freak-out phase. You must shift from thinking about your visions as fantasy to seeing them as real. A good movie to watch is Being John Malkovich. That will give you more insight into how to slip into an alternate reality and imagine life through the lens of your new character. Ideally, visualizing your future should be very much the same as remembering your past. Just as you would recall and mentally review what you did yesterday, that's how you want to imagine your new reality. What are the highlights of your typical day, and how do you feel about them? Notice that emotional memories are much stronger than routine events. Such memories can draw the past back into your present, but they can also draw a powerful future into your present if you create powerful new memories of the future. Partial visualization. One of the most common mistakes people make is that they fall into the trap of doing partial visualizations. They only imagine 1 or 2 aspects of their new reality, but not the entire big picture. Or they'll imagine something that makes them feel a certain way, but it wouldn't actually be a part of their desired reality. For example, you may imagine seeing a pile of cash on your table and counting the bills. A lot of people suggest this exercise as a way of manifesting more money. I think it's a lame idea though. If you really had financial abundance, would you actually have a pile of cash currency in your home? That seems unlikely. If you were already living it, playing with your money or obsessing over it would be silly and immature. That's the sort of thing someone would do only if they weren't already living it. Partial visualizations manifest partial results. You may attract part of what you want, but it will be unstable because you've only locked onto some, but not all, of the necessary frequencies required to shift into that new reality. You may be able to visit it briefly, but you won't be able to stay long. When I was around 24 or 25 years old, I read the book Think and Grow Rich, and I started doing partial visualization exercises to attract more money into my life. I imagined having about $500,000 as a pile of cash on my bed. I felt the texture of the bills with my fingers. I saw it as very real and imagined what it would feel like to have that much cash all at once. Sometime after that, I don't recall how long, a few months maybe, I entered into a new game publishing deal with a total advance of $675,000. I soon received the first installment in the form of a check for $50,000, which was the biggest check I'd ever received at that point in my life. it appeared that my intention had manifested. However, this situation was incredibly unstable. The publisher turned out to be extremely corrupt. First, they screwed up the deal with seemingly insane delays and nonsensical decisions. Then they unilaterally breached our contract. And finally they tried to sue me, unsuccessfully, to recoup the $50,000 advance. Looking back, it appears that their goal was to tie up my team's project so that it wouldn't hit the market, while they had another team developing a potentially competing game. The initial $50,000 I received was spent on early development for a game that was never released. In the end, I was left with a busted project and more debt than when I started. If I could have afforded the legal fees, which I couldn't at the time, I may have been able to successfully sue them for breach of contract, but that simply wasn't how I wanted to do business. I wanted to spend my time making games, not giving depositions. Years later, this same publisher was publicly exposed for a massive accounting scandal, and the company and several officers were sued by the SEC. If I recall correctly, their CEO was fined $10 million and had to step down. That came as no surprise to me and many other developers who worked with them. Not a good manifestation. Although it seemed promising in the beginning, this attempt to manifest money completely imploded and left me worse off than when I started, aside from learning some very tough lessons, which in retrospect turned out to be quite valuable. I hope you can learn from my mistakes here and not succumb to the trap of partial visualization. In order to manifest your desires, you need to lock onto the total package of frequencies and the full range of emotions that you'll experience in your new reality. And one of the best ways to do that is to get really, really clear about what you want. Complete visualization. Don't just visualize one small part of your new reality, such as having more money come to you. Visualize the entire alternate reality you wish to enter, in as much detail as possible. It's okay to focus on one area of your life at a time. I personally find it rather difficult to visualize a whole new life for myself that covers career, finances, health, relationships, my daily habits, spiritual development, personal development, etc. So I generally focus on one area at a time, but I do my best to make sure it's congruent with my desires in other areas too. A few years ago I focused on creating financial abundance. Then I worked on social abundance, having lots of friends. Now I'm working on intimacy abundance, creating deeper relationships. All of these parts of my life are working beautifully right now. This process definitely works. Sometimes it works so well it scares me a bit. Career and finances are good areas to visualize together since most people generate income via their careers. Don't just imagine yourself having more money. Put in some detail about what is sustaining the flow of money. How is it being maintained? My initial attempt to manifest money flopped, or made things worse, because the big picture was incongruent. I was trying to pull money out of thin air, figuring it would come to me like magic. Well, this isn't magic, not really. Similarly, in the area of social abundance, I didn't just manifest friends with magic. I had to see the big picture. This required thinking about what kind of friend I'd be. I thought about the kinds of friends I wanted to attract, and then I imagined what kind of friend I'd have to be in order to attract them to me, and to maintain good relationships with them. This made it clear that I had to work on myself too, in order to step into that new reality. I had to become a better friend to others so I'd be worthy of those new relationships. I know some people who are working really hard at manifesting new relationships. But all they do is imagine the other person coming to them and loving them. That's a partial visualization, and it fails consistently. Honestly, I don't think I've seen this approach ever really work out. People do attract new partners this way, but the matches aren't very compatible. Suppose you're trying to attract a new woman by visualizing her in your life. She's everything you desire. She's a perfect match for you and absolutely amazing as a human being. You can't help but fall in love with that new reality. But will she fall in love with you, realistically? And new reality is something you're going to make real, it's not a fantasy. If you think your new reality is too good to be true, then well, it is too good to be true. What do you have to offer this woman? She may be your best possible match, but are you her best match as well, or will she have better options than you? Will she have to compromise her values and settle for less than she's worth to be with you? Will you really be able to maintain a relationship with someone like that? Are you worthy of her? These questions can hit people like a ton of bricks because they reveal our inadequacies. But we still need to address them. When you visualize your new reality, you must imagine yourself being the kind of person who can attract and hold on to all the good stuff you wish to manifest. That means you're going to have to work on yourself and grow into that kind of person. I know one woman who's been trying to manifest the perfect relationship for years. She goes on a lot of dates, yet she remains perpetually alone. It's obvious to me, and to many who know her, why that's so. The simple reason is that the man she desires wouldn't find her attractive at all. I can't even see that being a remote possibility. She's a kind-hearted person with a successful career, and she doesn't have a problem getting dates, but her personality is a total mismatch for the kind of man she wants. She doesn't fathom what such a man would find attractive in a relationship partner, so she lives in denial of the fact that he wouldn't be attracted to her. So she's always dating people where there's no two-way chemistry. If she keeps doing what she's been doing, she'll either remain alone indefinitely, or she'll eventually settle for an unstable connection with someone she doesn't find attractive or who doesn't find her attractive. In the area of career and finances, what kind of person will you have to become in order to attract and hold on to the abundance you desire? What will it take to be worthy of that kind of flow? When I was in my 20s, a $50,000 sum was too much for me to hold on to. I could attract such a sum on rare occasions, but I couldn't retain it. It would slip through my fingers like water. Eventually I stopped doing partial visualizations and began seeing the big picture. I realized I'd have to become a man who was worthy of abundance. This may mean something different to you, but to me it meant that I would need to be a kind and generous person who created a lot of value for others. That felt congruent to me. If I were a greedy bastard who was all about me, I'd feel I didn't deserve that kind of flow. In my visualizations, I felt really good about centering my career around service to others, and I could see that this would be consistent with attracting and perpetuating a constant flow of good stuff through my life: money, good health, low stress, loving relationships, fresh opportunities, etc. The total package just made sense to me. I had to work a lot on myself to step into that new vision of me, but it definitely worked. In the past 5 years, I've put out enough free content to fill a couple dozen books. That feels really good to me. And resources flow to me so easily that I simply take it for granted that I can relax and enjoy whatever I want to experience in life. This works because it's a congruent and stable situation. I use my creativity to put out a lot of value for others, so naturally I receive a lot of value in return. But in order to reach this place, I had to go through many internal shifts to step into this new reality. In the area of social abundance, I do my best to be the kind of friend that's worthy of having amazing friendships. I support and encourage my friends to pursue their dreams, but I also love to joke around and have fun. Consequently, I attract and maintain relationships with like-minded people. I'm really good at attracting people who are loving life, who enjoy helping people, and who are very encouraging and supportive of me too. And I naturally repel people who wouldn't make good friends for me. In order to manifest what you desire, the total package must be congruent. There must be harmony between what you're attracting and what's attracting you. Too often people fall into the trap of trying to attract something that would naturally repel them, such as trying to manifest a flow of money without creating any value, or trying to attract a loving relationship without becoming a loving and attractive person. This is largely common sense, which many people seem to lose sight of when trying to apply the law of attraction. Will a health nut be attracted to a lazy couch potato? Will honest, conscious business people want to do business with someone who creates little value and is only in business for the money? Will an adventurous growth seeker be attracted to someone who's timid and security-minded? Even if these situations were to manifest, they're unstable and usually won't work out very well unless there's a strong attraction in some other area to compensate. Manifestations can occur very rapidly and powerfully once this harmony is achieved. But until that happens, results tend to be minimal or negative. Write it down. Imagining your new reality can be tricky if you try to do it all in your mind. You may find it helpful to sit down and write out what it will be like to experience your new reality, in as much detail as possible. For example, if you want to attract a certain type of person into your life, write out a detailed description of that person. Then you can use that as a guide when visualizing. Another option is to create a vision board by assembling a collection of photos or images, physical or digital, that helps you imagine the big picture. I recently stumbled upon an old journal entry where I wrote out several pages describing in detail what I wanted to experience in life. My life at the time was nowhere close to that reality. I put an incredible amount of detail into it, even including personality descriptions and physical attributes of imagined people, such as how tall they were, or that they wore contact lenses, or were left or right-handed. What really freaked me out is that there is now a person in my reality who matches someone I described about 95% accurately. This person was not on my radar at all when I wrote this journal entry. I wrote it in February 2001. My life was in a completely different place back then. Most of what I wrote about back then has already manifested. I'm now living it. Other parts of my reality have shifted so much that parts of my vision that seemed so far away are not nearly so distant now. I can actually see steps that would make more of them possible and realistic. The big picture is sliding towards me. I was talking with Erin about this last week, and she asked me, "Why did you put that kind of detail into it? Why did it matter to you that an imaginary person was nearsighted?" My best answer is that I found that a copious level of detail made it easier to see it as real. The vision became more believable. If the new reality is to become real, the people within it must be real too, not imaginary archetypes. Real people have height and weight. They may be nearsighted or left-handed. They may have pimples or unshaven faces. They wear certain types of clothes. They have unique personalities. If you suddenly slid into your new reality, you would instantly observe all of the detail. It would be right in front of you. So put it in front of you now. Create it in your imagination. Clarity creates believability, which gives rise to stronger, crisper vibrations than fogginess. It takes practice to get good at this, but the more you practice, the richer and more vivid your visualizations will become. That richness makes it easier to lock onto the new emotional states you're aiming to create.